Hi, Nick Tucker here with the Historical Fencing Guild. This is part 2 of the previous video. In the previous video, I cut out, give me a second, this. As you can see, I have since cleaned it up. And I will show you the method I did. I just did this out there because I was between cutting out a large number of projects. And all I did was use which I now dropped because I always drop things. It's part of my video charm. Well, this is just a 28-cent click knife. Okay, very sharp. 28 cents at Wally World. You know, you can find them cheaper. But I realized a few things. As you can see, it's a little different from the design. But upon cutting it, I realized I don't want this sharp of a point. The end is still pretty sharp and not terribly forgiving, but I still want this to handle and look enough like a actual kitchen knife. So I deburred it with this. Now I have a bit. I don't know if you can see. Let me see. So you can see. Wow. Okay, it's really neat how that camera works. But I wanted to buff that part down just a little bit. It's a little too sharp. It's a little too much in the aggressive in the cross section because this is incredibly rigid, which is what I want in this style trainer. I have garbage bag. Garbage bag is to collect the things. Just set. Now files are designed to go pretty much one way. And it is funny, if you file something one way, it can magnetize, but I like to get the kind of groove going where it's back and forth. It's very smooth. This is a very familiar action for me because I spent a lot of time sharpening actual knives, but it's ironic because what I'm doing is actually blunting. You know, I'm sure some of you will laugh at that term, but dullioning sounds more ridiculous, and blunting is the proper word, despite its, you know, the other aspects of the term blunt. But as you can see, as I'm working with this, gets that nasty hair fuzz. So, box cutter, open it. Always keep it as short as you can. You'll better control. And remember, this little flap on these guys locks the blade in. People don't ever really talk to you about that, but you should. You can finger cut it off, and then just work it off. Nick, you're drawing a knife towards you. That's like the first thing they tell you not to do in knife school. Well, this is a very, very small blade. The motion is nowhere near. This is actually a grip trick I will be talking about when we start talking about hitting more concussively. And it just gives better control. Now what I'm doing is kind of proto-shaping it a little bit, and then I can just deburr it with the file. Now, that's a bit better. It doesn't look like much. Rounding this chunk does not look like much, but it's a matter of feel, and a whole lot of what I do is a matter of making sure it tactily, you know, having to deal with feels right. You want smooth. You want rounded, because you don't want to actually kill your training partner. Now, I left this little spur, so it rises up because I slipped with the fall. This happens. But what it also does is give a very comfortable sort of natural edge for the thumb, for that behind the thumb blade alignment. So that even if you rotate it here for a stronger grip, you're used to it. Very comfortable. It makes for a much nicer implement. Look at that. Isn't that nice? That flows so pretty. So this thing, I'm going to fidget with it just a little bit more. And it's done, but I want to show you something else. Let me put this over here. Maybe. Okay, cool. Now, this was the first experimental DOS to come in. And, this is a completed model. I will nitpick microscopic things, but all in all, very stout design, even if as a trainer, the material doesn't let this guy work. I may buff these burrs off, but, the pommel protrusion and this little handguard, but this handguard is totally acceptable in Dussac or D-handle cutlass, and it sets it nicer in the hand, so I think I might keep that as more of an accidental feature. So what I did, the same way I did the other one, I roughed this guy out. Now the only difference between doing this and doing something like this is I used a whole circle cutting saw. And I taped it, but the file kind of went boink, thanks to my phone getting a bizarre text. But so I still have to zap this little chunk, and I need to trim and rotate all the way around. You see all this fuzz? I did a cursory so I don't make a big mess in the house cut. But there's still, let me get it where you can see, yeah, a lot of that fuzz just comes off from the saw. That is normal. Now, where did I put, I dropped that. Here it is, never mind. 28-cent box cutter. You don't need a fancy tool. And all I'm doing with this, let me see if, bring that down a little bit. Bring this here. Let's see, where's the camera focus? Focus is right here. Cool. Just lightly drawing it on the edge. You don't want to bite hard yet because right now we're not shaping the material. We're just deburring it a bit. This side's going to need a lot of work because the hops from where I switched from using a circle cutter 3 times, circle cutter 3 times, and then a saw left these little snippets. So I'm probably going to use the knife to fix that. It's kind of funny, me working off camera. The tap you're hearing in the background is my son. He is excavating Egyptian artifacts out of one of those little kits. And like I said, this is it can be time-consuming process, but it's very, very simple, very easy. Now, you can see I kind of left this part, and I'd like to round it a little bit more, but I'll probably do that with the file. But cleaning it up, you don't need to see the whole process because, frankly, it's kind of boring. You're just going to run this along all your edges, and you want to run it about 45 degrees. When you have an edge like that, that's asking for the file. I can just round that off easier. I can shave it, but it really works better to just use the file. And that's all you really need to do to prepare one of these, to make something from a block of essentially cutting board into a trainer. I'll be using this trainer if people come make it out tonight. The weather's kind of dicey. Well, I hope you found that at least interesting. I've got much more work to do on this thing. If you have questions, comments, wow, that camera angle went wonky, please contact me in below. If you like what I'm doing or you feel it in your heart to throw some money my way, become a Patreon or try to contact me direct. We can work something out. Like, share, subscribe, and as always, support your local swordmaster.